Just kidding. Duce Robinson is one of the more fascinating wide receiver evaluations in this upcoming class, in this college football season, because everything in the game runs through one thing: the catch point. He is massive. He has a huge catch radius. He tracks the ball like a center fielder. And in his first year at Florida State, exploded with 56 catches, 1,081 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That made him Florida State's first 1,000-yard receiver since 2019 and put him on the Biletnikoff Award semifinalist conversation. But this is not a clean speed receiver profile. He does not consistently run away from corners. A lot of his wins come in traffic. And the question is whether he can separate enough at the next level or if he has to live as a contested catch specialist. So today we're going to break down Duce Robinson, who is my wide receiver 6, why the production is real, why the catch point ability is special, and what he has to prove in 2026. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, follow. As we keep putting in this work, we are over halfway to our goal of over 100 prospects before college football kicks off. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Draft Yoda, where we're data-driven and prospect-focused. Duce Robinson currently is carrying an 8.85 out of 10 going into this season with the Florida State Seminoles. Currently 61 overall, wide receiver 6. And he's a really fun evaluation because Duce Robinson does not look like most wide receivers. He is built like a mismatch. He was originally viewed as the number 1 tight end prospect in the country coming out of high school. He played basketball at a very high level. He's a multi-sport ball tracking background. And now, after transferring from USC to Florida State, he's turned himself into a legitimate big-bodied wide receiver prospect. Production's loud, the catch radius loud, the ball tracking is loud. The contested catch profile is super loud, but the athletic questions are also loud. Can he separate? Can he create more easy wins? Can he improve the underneath route tempo? Can he protect the football better? And can he prove that the contested dominance is not just a college cheat code, but a real NFL transferable skill? Deuce came out of Pinnacle High School in Arizona, one of the best athletes in the country, 5-star recruit, one of the nation's top-ranked tight end prospects. Earned Under Armour All-American honors for both football and baseball. And that matters, When you watch Robinson track the football, the baseball background makes sense. He has a natural ability, and he judges it. He judges the ball when it's in the air and adjusts over either shoulder. And you can see that coming. They see that baseball outfielder coming through in him. He understands timing. He understands positioning. And he doesn't panic when the ball is arriving through traffic. That's one of the reasons his catch point profile is so strong. He's not just big. He knows how to play the ball. And that's different. There are plenty of tall wide receivers, but Duce Robinson's here because he can actually win at the catch point. He had a family connection. He's the son of former Florida State athlete Dominic Robinson. His father played football and baseball for Florida State and was drafted to the Minnesota Twins. His mother swam at Florida. He's got a truly athletic bloodline. And the Florida State move had more meaning than just another transfer stop for him. If there's a connection to the program, there's a chance to step into a bigger role. And there's a chance to reshape his NFL projection. And his first season in Tallahassee, he really took the right step forward in doing that. Before Florida State, he spent 2 seasons at USC. Across 2 years, 39 catches, 747 yards, and 7 touchdowns. It's not massive, but solid production. At USC, you can see the size. You can see the receiving ability. You can see the red zone potential. but he had not become the featured player that you wanted as he came out of high school. You know, he he was still more of a projection than a complete resume. And then he transferred to Florida State. And in Tallahassee, the opportunity finally matched the talent. Uh, 2025, 56 catches, 1,081 yards, 6 touchdowns, averaged better than 19 yards per catch. Became Florida State's first 1,000-yard receiver since 2019. That's a big deal. Florida State has athletes. Florida State has talented receivers. Florida State has had explosive offenses. But getting over 1,000 yards in a season still means something. And Robinson did it his first year with the program. Now, it tells you Florida State figured out quickly what he could be. Throw him the ball downfield. Let him use his frame. Let him win through contact. Let him erase average ball placement. Let him turn, covered throws into completions. And let that be the formula. It worked. Take the Texas A&M Commerce game. He went for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. I understand it wasn't the greatest opponent, but he showed explosive plays. Against Virginia, 9 catches, 147 yards and a touchdown. He went 5 for 5 in traffic in that game. And that is the Duce Robinson evaluation in one sentence. When the ball is contested, when the defender is there, when the window is not clean, he still comes down with the ball. That's what quarterbacks are going to love about him. That's what offensive coordinators are going to love about him. And it's what I love about him. I want him to be so much higher. Let's get into the things that what really stands out about him. The frame is the first thing that's going to catch you. He's a towering receiver with a catch radius that changes the quarterback's job. Ball placement is not always going to be perfect. Sometimes the quarterback is under pressure. Sometimes the route is squeezed. Sometimes the defense wins with leverage. Sometimes the throw is high, outside, late, or through contact. Robinson gives you a margin for error that other receivers don't. He can extend, he can climb, he can shed defenders, and he catch passes with smaller receivers simply can't reach. That's an NFL trait. Receivers who make quarterbacks right have value, and quarterbacks love them. Another thing is the catch point dominance. He turns 50-50 balls into more 70-30 balls. And that's the best way to describe it that I have found. A lot of receivers say they are good contested catch guys. Robinson's tape actually shows it. He attacks the ball late. He uses his body to block out defenders. He knows when to keep defensive backs from getting clean plays through his hands, and he plays above the rim and tracks the ball very naturally. Just 2 drops on 95 targets is outstanding for a receiver working this many contested and downfield opportunities. Speaking of downfield, his deep ball tracking is phenomenal. He can track throws over either shoulder. That's a big part of why he has over 19 yards per reception. For receivers with speed questions, that number matters. He's not winning with pure long speed. He is still generating explosive production without it. He's tracking, positioning, he's using his body control, and he's shielding defenders so that he can finish through their contact. And that is a huge key to his game. The body positioning. He plays a basketball-esque style, and he knows how to post up defenders. He understands where the defender is. He understands where the ball is coming. He understands how to make himself the only player with a real shot to catch the ball. That's not just a size thing. That's skill. Robinson does the box out. He makes the defenders play through him, and when he gets his body between a defender and the football, the defensive back is usually in a whole lot of trouble. Um, a receiver this size in the red zone is huge. His frame, hands, and body control. Robinson has a clear role inside the 20. Uh, he can be a backline target. He can work fades. He can win slants with size. He can post up smaller defensive backs. He can create throwing windows even when the field compresses. And it's one of the easiest parts of his projection is even if the number, becomes a high, if he never becomes a high separating receiver, the red zone value is going to translate. Receivers with this size, with this level of ball skill, get opportunities near the goal line no matter who they're with. Nobody's perfect. I've said it in every single video. I will say it in every single video. Nobody's perfect. First thing is the long speed. He does not have the long speed for wide receivers. It's the biggest athletic limitation on him. He's not going to consistently run away from NFL corners. He's not going to win like a true burner. He's not going to win like an Eric Singleton Jr. No, he's not going to run past you and look for the ball. He's not going to create easy vertical separation with top speed. It's not going to happen. And that matters because if you win with speed, you have to win with, if you can't win with speed, you have to win with technique. You have to win with your positioning, your strength, your timing, and your route detail. Robinson can do all of that, but the speed cap is real. That's why he's at wide receiver 6 and not wide receiver 3, is his speed cap. The speed cap is part of the concern. The separation is another part of the concern. The reason he had so many contested catches against Virginia is because he never got clean separation. The question is, can he win before the ball arrives? Can he create space on top of his routes? Can he separate in intermediate cuts? And can he beat press cleanly? Can he create throwing windows instead of relying on the catch radius to solve everything? Right now, a lot of his production comes with defenders near him. And that means when you are physically better than that college corner, you're going to win. But in the NFL, everyone's bigger, stronger, and better at playing through the catch point. So separation has to improve at least some. Another concern is his route tempo, especially underneath. When Robinson was asked to work underneath, the tempo kind of flattened. Everything can start to look at the same speed, and that makes it harder to create separation. Great route runners change space, they sell vertical, they throttle down, they snap off routes, they manipulate leverage, and Robinson is still developing that part of his game. He's at his best when he can work downfield and use his body, but if he wants to become a complete boundary starter, the underneath and intermediate route tempo has to be sharper. He's currently wide receiver 6 on my board. I do think he can climb, but he's got some heavy road ahead of him. Let's be real. Jeremiah Smith is a freak of nature. Cam Coleman brings the size and high-end wide receiver 1 upside. Nick Marsh has all the physical tools and production. Eric Singleton Jr. is just absolutely a burner. KJ Duff has the massive contested catch possession profile just like Deuce, but he's shown separation in comparison to Deuce, and that's the thing that's really separating them right now in this evaluation. He's a towering target, a natural ball tracker. He's a red zone weapon, player with 1,000-yard production, player who's averaged 19 yards per catch, a player who can win in traffic at a high level. 2026, Robinson has already shown he can produce. He's already shown he can win contested catches. He's already shown, that he can make explosive plays. Now he has to show the next layer. I need to see more separation. I need to see sharper routes, better underneath tempo, a little bit cleaner on his ball security. He had 2 fumbles this past year, and proof that the production can hold when the defenses know exactly what he is. He chose to return to Florida State instead of turning professional, and that was a big decision for him. It gives him the chance to answer the questions before the NFL looks into the projection. If he continues to improve as a route runner and keeps his catch point dominance, he can definitely climb. I don't think he needs to become a burner because that's not who he is, but he does need to create cleaner windows. Currently, he's sitting at 8.85 out of 10. My number 61 overall prospect and wide receiver number 6. Towering boundary receiver with elite catch radius, natural deep ball tracking, dependable hands, a red zone value, and one of the best contested catch profiles in the country. He averaged over 19 yards a catch, and that is wonderful because he gave the Seminoles a true downfield and contested catch weapon, but the concerns are still real. Long speed is poor for the position. The separation is more about positioning than suddenness. The underneath route tempo needs work, and 2 fumbles need to be cleaned up. But the core of the profile is extremely valuable, and Deuce has a year in 2026 to really show he's one of the most dangerous big body receivers in the country. That's my board. That's how I view him. What do you think about Duce Robinson? Is he one of the best contested catch receivers in college football? Should he be higher than wide receiver 6? And how much do you value a receiver who cannot run away from corners but still wins the ball anyway? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow. Because we're going to keep putting in this work. We are over halfway there to our 100 prospects before college football kicks off. And we're going to keep putting in the work, making sure we get there. As always, I am Draft Yoda, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.